it is good to see you. It's been a little while. The last time I spoke to you was Bohemian Rhapsody.
Okay,
That
yeah, that
was
is a little while.
a lifetime ago, but
Yeah.
back for season 3, which I know is out in the US, and you guys
Yes.
are really making us wait here in the UK to
I
get
know, I'm
it.
sorry about that. It's such a shame because it's such, in some ways, it's such a British show. It's
Yeah.
like a majority British cast. We shoot in the UK in London. It's got very British sensibility, so I do apologize.
And we have to do our best to avoid spoilers as well,
Yes, that's tricky. Yeah.
which is very hard. But you
Yeah.
said actually this season though is one of your favorites. What is it about this season in particular that has made it that?
I think each season has just got better and better. I think that's the nature sometimes of these things, is that as you get to know the characters more and more, you can delve deeper into the world. You don't have to do so much of the setting up and the exposition and the kind of creating the framework. You can just kind of dive deep in, straight in. And this season, continues in that kind of direction. And it's, there's some brilliant moments in it and unexpected moments, and it's it's a good one.
I saw some of the pictures that you put up from behind the scenes on your Instagram, which I know you've not been on your Instagram for a little while, like since May. I don't think you.
Oh wow, you're calling me out on it. I need to up my game.
Hey, people like to see what you're up to. But listen, there was some great like behind the scenes pictures. Forgive me for not knowing, but what were the cardboard cutouts used for?
Oh right, okay. So they were used as an eye line. So we were doing this scene over a massive lake. So we shot everything on one side once and everything on the other side at another time. And there was one group of people on one side and one group of people on the other. So while it was all being shot on us, we had the eye line of, all the other people, cardboard cutouts on the other side of the lake.
Who takes them home afterwards?
I don't know, man. They are sitting
is what I'm curious.
Sitting rotting in a shipping container in East London somewhere. Tragic, isn't it, really?
Honestly, if there was a couple cut of me out there, I'd be like, who's got that? Like, and where have they put that?
Yeah, creepy, potentially.
Obviously, Huzzah is something that with The Great, I think, I know it's been used in the past, but The Great really brought it to kind of common use, I would say. And I know you've said yourself that you've used it a lot. Are people now, 3 seasons in, very tired of you using that in everyday life? Or have you kind of like, you try not to?
I try not to. It does become, while you're doing it, it just becomes like, you can't stop saying it and it becomes your reaction to everything. But I try not to use it, to be honest with you. It's a bit like, well, you said that we spoke last when we were doing Bohemian Rhapsody, and when I'm in a bar and a Queen song comes on, everyone's like, "Oh," and I'm like, "I know, I didn't write these songs. I wasn't actually in Queen." So it's a bit like that. It's like people go "Huzzah," and I'm like, "Yeah, no, it's not."
It's a character.
Yeah, it's a character.
Yeah. It's a character, guys. Let me have my piece when I'm not working. Did you learn, like, doing these shows, which are based on historical, like, fact? Did you learn a lot about it yourself going into it, or did you kind of know and do all your research beforehand, or is it kind of as you've gone along, you're like, oh wow, I didn't know this happened?
Yeah, it's funny. It's like it depends from job to job, really. Yeah, I mean, I remember when we first got together for season 1 of this, actually, me and Phoebe, I seem to remember, we turned up there was a whole rehearsal, a whole cast rehearsal, and we were sat around in a circle in some kind of rehearsal room in London somewhere. And Phoebe and I very diligently, like good students, took out our like history books, and I'd got a book about the Romanovs, and I got a book about Catherine the Great, and Tony was like, nah, don't worry about that so much. It's that we're not really concerned too much with the historical accuracy on this show. So we were like, okay, all right, that's where we're coming from. And it is loosely based on history, and it's good to know a little bit of that. And I quite like to know. I find that one of the most interesting parts of my job is like the research, the background, and the history, and all that kind of thing. But it quickly became apparent that we didn't want to just get bogged down in that, and it was more important about like the relationship between the characters and like the playing of the scenes. The scenes are just so well written that there's a kind of specificity and musicality in the way to play it, that it meant you didn't need to know the entire backstory of these characters.
Have you heard much about a season 4 yet?
No, not yet. I mean, it's still quite early days. I mean, the show only went out in the States maybe a month ago, I think. So it's still quite early days. I think we'd all love to do one.
You're definitely up for it. That's why I was curious.
100%. I just love the show. I love the show, and I love the people, and it's a gift of a job. And I would do it in a heartbeat.